Hello and good afternoon. This is your news update on KTN Newsdesk. I'm Nancy Kachingera, sitting in for Edith Kimani. Thank you for joining me this afternoon as we keep you informed. Parliament's informal session underway to trim the powers of governors. Also, the court reinstates impeached governor, at least temporarily. And different reactions to Uganda's controversial gay laws. Well, most definitely, one of the big things that is happening today is the MP's informal session, or Kamukunji. We've got Rita Tinina live at Parliament, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the developments there. Rita, what are we looking at so far? What has been discussed?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Nancy. That Speaker's Kamukunji that you talk about just got underway in the last half hour or so, but this is not your ordinary Speaker's Kamukunji. Both houses of Parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, are meeting this afternoon. And the agenda basically was set last week. Remember, the National Assembly and the Senate, in the past, they have engaged in supremacy battles, but now it appears they have found some unity of sorts. And this, they have a common enemy, I would say. Remember, you all recall the instructions by the court, the injunctions by the court that have made the governors and the MPs not so happy. That is, in fact, the agenda of today's meeting, which was set last week by a few members of Parliament and a few senators, plus majority leaders from both houses, that is Aden Duale from the National Assembly, as well as Kindiki Kithure from the Senate. And during that press conference last week, they indicated that they want to bring some matters under control, basically to tame the governors and the judiciary. The judiciary for issuing what they term as injunctions that are not necessary. During that press conference last week, Aden Duale saying that they will rein in on judges whom he termed as engaging in bench fixing. So on the side of the judiciary, Aden Duale indicating that they will do two things. He says first, they will bring back the Vetting of Judges and Magistrates Act to ensure that judges who join the judiciary after the year 2010 are vetted. Plus, he said the House, the National Assembly, that is, has the powers to discuss the conduct of individual judges on the floor of the House. And so he said that those judges that the National Assembly feels are engaging in bench fixing, they will have their names tabled before the floor of the House, and members of Parliament then will discuss their conduct. When it comes to the governors, several things are perhaps up for discussion during the meeting that I said got underway in the last half hour or so. One is that the Senate is seeking to trim the powers of the governors. First of all, there is the issue of the title, Excellency, as well as flying the flag. And one of the issues that the meeting will discuss is the national flags, emblems and names bill, which, if they agree to table it in Parliament and it is passed, the governors then might lose their title, Your Excellency, as well as lose the privilege of flying the flag. But that is not all. The senators and members of Parliament are also looking at the possibility of trimming the revenue to the counties. Currently, that stands at 15% according to the Constitution. Last year, it was increased to 33%. But now the senators and MPs are arguing that to rein in on the governors, that figure perhaps needs to come down to what is stipulated in the Constitution. So we are waiting to see whether this meeting this afternoon will rubber stamp that agenda that was set last week by both majority leaders from both houses. The meeting this afternoon is being chaired by speakers from both houses of Parliament, from the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, as well as the Senate Speaker, Ekwe Ethuro. After the meeting comes to a close, it should come to a close anytime before 2 p.m. Remember, the leaders have to go for the afternoon session in Parliament, right, and in the National Assembly and in the Senate. So we are waiting after the meeting comes to a close. We are hoping we will get a briefing either from the two speakers of both houses or the majority leaders from both houses. Nancy.
Right. Thank you, Rita. Now, as many people are saying, this could be a turning point for devolution. And you did mention that a lot of the things on the agenda are actually to do with clipping the wings of the governors, so to speak. Do you think this is more of a retaliation on the part of Parliament, or could it be that this is something that could be positive for devolution?
You could look at it in two ways. First of all, even in the meeting itself, not all leaders are agreed on the issue of cutting the revenue to the counties. They are saying if that revenue is reduced, then it will cripple devolution. But on the whole, even analysts are agreed that perhaps this is a supremacy battle. The senators trying to show the governors perhaps who is boss here. The senators insist that according to the law, they have the oversight over how resources in the counties are spent, and that the governors are answerable to the Senate in terms of how they spend that money in the counties. So the senators basically saying we are superior here, we have an oversight role on governors in the counties, and governors basically must play ball and must, even last week during that press conference that was addressed by majority leaders from both houses, Adan Duale telling the governors that they can run, but ultimately they will have to come to the Senate and explain how they are spending their funds in the counties. Nancy.
Right. Thank you very much, Rita. That's Rita Tinina. She is at Parliament. And of course, we will keep you updated as this goes on. Now, as we move on, the two houses of Parliament hold their Kamukunji to discuss ways of dealing with the judiciary and governors, Embu Court yesterday reinstated Martin Wambora as the governor of Embu. Wambora will now remain in office until the 10th of March, when the High Court will rule whether he will continue to hold office pending the determination of a case challenging his impeachment. Wambora's lawyers, Paul Muite and Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, asked the High Court sitting in Kerugoya to block the swearing in of Dorothy Nditi as Embu governor until the conclusion of the hearing. Nditi's lawyers also told the court that they foresee a long-drawn legal dispute likely to end up in the Supreme Court, with the risk of a dangerous long-term power vacuum in Embu County. The Court of Appeal sitting in Nyeri today has heard an appeal challenging a High Court verdict that upheld the election of the Tharaka Nithi Governor Samuel Ragwa. The appeal filed by gubernatorial Paul Luza Menkira Mriti was heard by judges Al-Nashir Visram, Martha Kome and Otieno Odek. In the appeal, Mriti has accused Lady Justice Jessie Lessett, who upheld Ragwa's election, of not adequately interrogating the evidence on record. He also claims that Ragwa hired a witch doctor who allegedly treated money that was dished out to voters. The witch doctor has since recanted his earlier evidence, where he had said that Ragwa had paid him 50,000 shillings. The appeal court will now scrutinize the evidence before giving its verdict. Just moments after Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni signed the now very controversial anti-gay bill, leaders and gay activists around the world are expressing variant views. While a number welcomed the historical signing, many online pages were swamped with messages of disbelief over what gay activists termed as a primitive and backward decision. Betty Kello tells us more.
Even now I have not really fully understood it, that you can fail to be attracted to all these beautiful women here and elsewhere, and you are attracted by a man. That's a very serious matter. It means there's something really wrong with you. So for me, in my simple way, I thought they must be born like that.
Remarks that sent the world into frenzy. Online news pages from international media picked the story, and in a few minutes, different reactions hit the headlines, with gay activists in countries that support homosexuality hitting back at Museveni. The White House issued a statement immediately after the signing, and in part it read, "Instead of standing on the side of freedom, justice and equal rights for its people, today, regrettably, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni took Uganda a step backward by signing into law legislation criminalizing homosexuality." Closer home, Ugandan lawmaker Fox Odoi said, "It is a very dark day for the gay community. It is going to result in big harassment of gay people." United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Navy Pillay in a statement said in part, The law violates a host of fundamental human rights, including the right to freedom from discrimination, to privacy, freedom of association, peaceful assembly, opinion and expression, and equality before the law. Museveni had previously rejected the bill, saying that there were other ways to address what he termed as abnormal behavior, adding that life imprisonment was not the solution. However, after consultations with medical experts who claim that homosexuality is a social behavior, Museveni changed his mind.
No study has shown that. No study has shown that you can be homosexual purely by nature. Since nature is the main cause of homosexuality, then society can do something about it to discourage the trends. That is why I have agreed to sign the bill.
Following the signing, pundits say there is a high possibility of homosexuals seeking refuge or even asylum in countries that do not discriminate gay persons. The Ugandan law comes in the wake of a debate here in Kenya of gays in society. Gay activists have in the past held demonstrations demanding recognition by the government. Betty Kyalo, KTN.
And the furore does not stop there. As we've just seen there, Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has signed into law a bill that toughens penalties against gay people and defines some homosexual acts as crimes punishable by life in prison. And with that, the United States has begun an internal review of its relationship with the government of Uganda following the signing into law of that bill. Now, in a press release, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said President Obama's government would ensure any engagement with Uganda would reflect the anti-discrimination policies supported by his government.
The 2010 tabloid banner read, "Hang them." David Cato told CNN then he knew he was in danger.
So I was on the newspapers. So the landlord said, the villagers want to set my house ablaze. They want to burn my house.
Homophobia in this deeply conservative Christian nation is rabid. David's mother says she didn't know he was gay until he was murdered. "I would condemn him," she responds. "I would hate him, but I would counsel him." She too stigmatized by his sexuality and did not want us to visit her at home. "The community keeps accusing me that I bring whites to promote homosexuality among the children," she tells us. The irony, gay rights activists say, is that it was a small group of American evangelicals who came to Uganda speaking out against homosexuality, which was already illegal, that really took the persecution of the LGBT community to a new level.
Some friends.
Kashana Bagesera is one of the few gay activists to speak out in public.
So they went to Parliament and advised them to change the law. They went to universities and told students that we are recruiting them into homosexuality, that we have a lot of money, that they should be careful. Then they went to parents and told them that we are recruiting their children.
The first draft of an anti-homosexuality bill, she recalls, introduced in 2009, included the death penalty. The new version replaces the death penalty for certain homosexual acts with life in prison and makes simply being viewed as promoting homosexuality a crime that could land someone in jail.
Now Parliament processes all these amendments to come.
David Bahati is the architect.
So is your aim to eradicate homosexuality completely by forcing people to stay silent or face a prison sentence?
Well, the aim is to make sure that we do protect the institution of marriage and stopping the promotion of homosexuality in our country. If in the process that is achieved, that will be good for our society.
That homosexuality be eradicated from
that
society?
That will be good for our society.
Do you respect other religions, an individual's right to practice another religion other than Christianity?
Yes.
So why can't you respect another individual's differing sexual orientation?
Well, I don't think that homosexuality is a human right.
Now the LGBT community fears it will become the target of an even broader witch hunt. Arwa Damon Sianan, Kampala.
Well, let's go now to some news that's just coming in. 2 suspected thugs have been gunned down in a botched robbery attempt at a local bank along Nairobi's Kimathi Street. One woman caught in the crossfire was also shot dead. Now we have KTN's Nicholas Mudimba at the scene of the incident, and we're going to get him on the phone now to tell us a bit more. Nicholas, what can you tell us about what just happened at Kimathi Street?
Thank you, Nancy. Actually, we had 4 thugs who were trying to rob one of the banks, Equity Bank, but they were being followed closely by the city police, and 2 of them were actually gunned down. And in between the crossfire, there was one woman who was caught and guarded and was shot dead. And according to the deputy OCPD of Central Police Station, Josephat Munguli, saying the 2 actually youths in the mid-20s were armed with brown pistols, and one of the deadly pistols, according to them. And it's actually one of those, 2 of them were actually being followed closely since last week, and the attempt today to rob a bank was actually, we have mixed reports. Of course, they said they tried to rob a bank, and or they tried to rob a customer who was coming from the bank. So we have mixed reports on this situation, but that will be confirmed later. But according to the OCPD, the Deputy OCPD, Mr. Josephat Munguli, saying that the 2 have been actually on the police list, and the other 2 who are on the run are being followed right now.
Okay. Now, what's the mood right now? What's it like down there, Nicholas?
The situation, you understand, the situation where ambulances are involved, the police, the public all over. It's actually a tense mood here in the city center. The likes of Moi Avenue, Kenyatta Avenue, even some businesses have been locked within Jamia Mall. Actually, no one is continuing with his or her daily business. Some have been shut down, and we understand that even some of the shops who have been targets for these guys, especially around Kenyatta Avenue and the Jamia Mall. So right now, police are really on alert, and I've ordered some guys along the Jamia Mosque to actually lock up their business.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Yes, you might want to avoid some of those areas, like he said. Moving on, the Inspector General of Police, David Kimayo, says that police will not arrest the Principal Secretary for Internal Security, Mutea Iringo, over an alleged refusal to pay a court award of 31 million shillings arising from a civil suit. Through police spokesman Masood Mwinyi, the Inspector General said Mutea is not in hiding, and there is a procedure to be followed to effect court orders involving senior civil servants. Now, at the same time, Kimayo has directed the Deputy Inspector General of the Kenya Police Service and Director of Criminal Investigations to start investigations on errant traffic police officers who have been taking bribes on Kenyan roads with a view to prosecuting them. We're going to take a quick break now, but stay with us on Newsdesk.
Harris, I have today directed the Deputy Inspector General, Kenya Police Service, and the Director of Criminal Investigations Department to initiate investigations into the same with immediate effect. The investigations should, among other factors, 1. Establish to what extent the vice exists. 2. Establish the prevalence of the vice. 3. Establish the possible causes of the vice, and most importantly, 4. Come up with recommendations to address the same. I want to reiterate that corruption is intolerable and unacceptable in the National Police Service. Police officers who are engaged in this vice will definitely face serious consequences, which, apart from leading to their removal from the service, may also lead to criminal prosecution.
Welcome back to Newsdesk here on KTN. Let's head over now to matters business. The government is urging development partners in the agricultural sector to gather resources towards achievement of a food-secure nation. Addressing a donor forum, Cabinet Secretary Felix Koskei said that the sector struggles with a high cost of production, mainly brought about by the cost of inputs. He also did point out that the uptake of technology-based farming has been slow, despite the urgent need to move from rain-fed to irrigation farming. The government Koske said, is keen on reviving the fisheries sector, which has potential to generate over 100 billion shillings annually if fully developed.
We are focusing on inputs, as I said. Secondly, we are seriously focusing on irrigation. Thirdly, value addition and market access. Those three areas are the areas of priority in as far as agriculture is concerned. And we invite our development partners to go along with us in trying to solve the challenges that we are facing in those areas.